Hello everyone, Ryan Boccianico here with ABC Solutions, and I'm here today to show you how to create recurring service contracts inside Autotask. The first thing we want to do is gather some information about the contract we're about to create. You may get this from a signed quote from your customer or a conversation that you've had with them. I put together the information and gathered it here so it would be at my disposal when I wanted to create the contract. A quick overview. We're about to create a contract for Blue Sky Manufacturing Company. Our contact there is Nick Capelli, and I have his email address so that I can be sure he receives our invoices. The contract will start on August 1, 2024, and will renew annually beginning July 31st, 2025. We plan to invoice this customer every month on the first day of the month. The infrastructure of the customer is they have one on-prem server, one firewall, and 12 users. We're charging an onboarding fee of $1,250 and plan to sell them some services, advanced endpoints protection, firewall protection, and essential server care. This contract does not include any labor. So any on-site support, remote support, or projects will be invoiced separately. Now that we have all of the information, let's move into Autotask and set up our contract. Logging into Autotask, you land on your dashboard. On the blue menu bar at the top, you can go straight to Create. And under Contracts, you'll see the Recurring Service option. Contract name. If all of your contracts are named Monthly Managed Services, when you go to run a report, you won't be able to tell which monthly managed services, which customer this monthly managed services is, because you will see a list of monthly managed services if they're all named the same thing. So what I like to do is put in a customer identifier to help me recognize which contract I'm looking for when I'm running reports. In this case, I'm going to put in B Sky for Blue Sky. That should be enough to tell me who the customer is. So then I choose my client, Blue Sky Manufacturing. I don't have any contacts set up for this customer, otherwise I would choose it there. I do need to get Nick Capelli's name and email address entered in here so he does properly receive the invoice. I'll make a note to update that later. On the contract period type, we have some options. I know that I plan to invoice this customer each month. Other options are quarterly, twice a year, and once a year. And so the contract period type tells Autotask how often you will invoice this customer, and it will calculate the invoice amounts accordingly. So I'm going to choose monthly. My start date, as we said, was August 1 of 24, and it will run until July 31st of 2025. The default service contract means that if you select the default service contract option, any ticket that is created in the system after this contract is created, any ticket that's created in the system for Blue Sky Manufacturing will automatically default to this contract. And because it's a recurring service contract, those tickets would not be billable because they are covered under this contract. They are associated with it. So I'm going to leave this box blank because I want all of my labor to be billable because this particular contract doesn't include any support. We've discussed that already. So when I create my time and materials contract, I will choose that as the default service contract so that all of my tickets land there. A contract description, this is optional. You can enter a description here, but it does not appear on invoices and it doesn't leave the system. This is strictly for your internal notes. Contract category. This list is entirely customizable. So you can choose a contract category, and this is helpful if you are looking to run reports and you want to group them all together, or you want to filter it by a specific category. The service level agreement is if you are offering SLAs to your customers. How quickly will you respond to a ticket once it's opened? How quickly will you resolve an issue? And many of your clients, or many of you may offer this service level agreement with your customers. If your customer has an external contract number, this is a cross-reference number that you can enter for their benefit. If this contract was associated with a specific opportunity, if this customer had an opportunity already set up inside Autotask, you can associate them together. Clicking Next will take us to the screen regarding the approving and posting of labor. We already discussed that this particular contract should not include labor, but if a ticket does accidentally make its way onto this contract, this screen will determine how Autotask treats it. So you have a few options. You can post immediately without review. That means you will not see those time entries in the approve and post window when you go to prepare your invoices for this customer. You also have on timesheet approval. If your team does not use timesheets or are not required to submit timesheets, then I don't recommend using this option. So because this particular contract should not have any labor, if something lands on this contract, I want to look at it. And so I will choose to approve and post manually. This will give me the opportunity to review any time entries on this contract and determine whether or not it should be billable. Then I'm moving on to the setup fee. This is where we can put in our onboarding fee. And the setup fee billing code is the billing code that Autotask will use to send the setup fee, the onboarding fee of $1,250 to QuickBooks, and the billing code that QuickBooks will post it to. I will post it to CMIT Managed Services. The billing client indicates that perhaps another customer in your Autotask is the one that will be responsible for the invoices for this contract. Now, if Blue Sky Manufacturing was a child of another company, perhaps Blue Sky Holding Company, and we wanted to invoice the holding company, I would choose the holding company as the billing client. But because Blue Sky Manufacturing is not associated with any of my other customers, I'm going to leave this box blank so that I can bill this contract's client. The purchase order number is another cross-referencing PO number, and this number can actually transfer into your QuickBooks and land on the invoice if you have it set up in the integration to do so. I'm going to click Next, and this takes us to our services. This is where we add in the services that the customer will get invoiced for. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my services. Now we had 3 services. One was CMIT Advanced, and I can use this box at the top to search for my service, CMIT Managed Services Advanced Package. I'm going to select that. And we have a unit cost already built in. This comes from the services screen, the products and services screen. Our unit price of $150 per month per endpoint, and this is our endpoint service, and we have 12 of those. So I'm going to put in 12 units, which will extend the price to $1,800 per month. $150 times 12 endpoints equals 1,800. Now I can add my next service. And my next service is the firewall protection. Now I can search through all the way through all of the services, or I can firewall protection managed at $250 per month. This is the service I'm looking for. Check the box, click OK. I know that my vendor is going to be charging me $150, so I'm going to charge my customer $200. They only have one firewall that needs protection. And up here on the left, you can see the monthly estimated invoicing amount that I'm going to be sending this customer. Okay, so now I have two of my three services. Let's add the third. And this one was Essential Server Care. Essential Server Care, and click OK. And I'm going to charge $225 per month. Now, my monthly estimated invoicing amount to this customer will be $2,275 per month. And if that looks correct to you, we'll go ahead and click Next. This screen is primarily used for the default service contracts. What this screen is telling you that you can do is you can say there are certain things that this contract does not cover. And remember what we talked about. We're not providing on-site services, projects, or remote services on this contract. So if a ticket happens to land on this contract and it chooses one of these work types as the work type on that ticket, Autotask will say, hang on a minute, this is not included on this contract. I'd better go to the next contract in line, which will be the exclusion contract. We'll go through more of those when I set up the default service contract and set up the exclusions. The next screen is if you wanted to notify somebody. You may want to notify your billing department. Hey, I just created this contract. You might want to get over there and invoice them for the onboarding fee or something along those lines. Often you may decide not to notify anybody. And then we're going to click the Finish tab. And once we click the Finish button, the contract is created. And we have some links. We can open the contract to review it. We can create a ticket for this contract. We can create another contract or simply close this window. If I open up this contract, you can now see that the contract is not yet active because today is not yet August 1 of 2024. On the left navigation are the different options inside this contract. And if you click on the services, you will see all of the services that we just set up with a monthly estimated price. The summary screen will tell you who the customer is, who is the account manager, whether or not there's an SLA, how the labor will get posted, what kind of contract it is, when does it start, when does it end, and over here we have the setup fee, and you can monitor the profitability both here in the bottom section here and in the contract details on the right. I hope you found that useful, and that is all there is to it to creating a recurring service contract. Next up, we will learn how to approve in post.